Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista, here on YouTube, and today is Sunday, July 10th. So, I did not do a video yesterday, and I meant to, I was going to, and then the day just got away from me, and I was actually really tired yesterday. Didn't fall asleep Friday night to Saturday until like 2 in the morning. And then got up at 6. So I was just like, no. We went to the grocery store yesterday, got that done, and then came back and I was just done. So, and it was raining. It rained like all day here yesterday. So we didn't have too many plans. I mean, the grocery store, that was it. I know I told you guys the washer and dryer was supposed to be delivered on Friday. It got delivered today, so I will talk about that in a second. So, my hair, yes, I thank you so much to everyone who commented on my video that they liked it, and that then I had done like an Instagram post about it, and also I changed my Facebook profile picture to the picture with my new hair. And yeah, why Bill doesn't like it? He likes it better when it's fixed like this. He said it looks better. He likes the color. He thinks it's too short. Okay, hair grows. I mean, and even though I tried to tell him, my hair was very damaged on the end. You know, my hair was like down to here. It was pretty damaged on the ends from all the bleach. So it had to be cut. There was no two ways about it, in my opinion. It had to be cut. So I have some products coming, some new shampoo and conditioner, and I'm still quite, learning how to curl it to fix it and make it poofy. I even ordered some new hairspray called Big Sexy Hair, where it'll like hold, because I have like Paul Mitchell hairspray now, and it's nice, but it doesn't really hold it. Plus, I think I need to curl these top pieces. Instead of curling them forward, like curl them back. Like I try to alternate the curls so it's not all one big curl by the end of the day. But yeah, still learning how to do that. And I wore my hair straight yesterday. I have to say, I like it better curly than straight. But, in a couple weeks as it grows out, it's just going to be a longer style like this. And I don't have an appointment with her until September. So my hair is going to be given a break for like 2 months, which is nice. So, but thank you to everyone who said they liked it. And yeah, it's, I like it. So, and that's all that matters. Bill could be just jealous because he doesn't have hair. That's what somebody said. And he may have hit the nail on the head with that. So, today he is at an all-day course for getting a gun permit. Recently in Maryland, they passed it where anyone can carry a concealed weapon if you go through a class and everything. So he is doing that because that's what he wants to do. So he is doing that. And the washer and dryer came. Now he unhooked our old stuff Wednesday when I was at the hairdresser, because, we were thinking it was going to come on Friday. Well, I'm used to doing laundry every day. And it had been since Wednesday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So today was the 4th day. We had a big fat pile of laundry. So they were supposed to come today from 12 to 4. Bill called me at like 9:45 and said, they're going to be there in 15 minutes. And I'm like, huh? Okay. Well, luckily I was dressed and everything, but I was still getting ready. They were there. It went smooth. They hooked it all up. No problem. They said they ran a cycle to test it. And yeah, I'm doing laundry now. So I had to wind up spreading it out into 2 loads. So one's in the dryer, one's in the washer. Fantastic. Got a washer and dryer again. So that all went off without a hitch. And we are having cauliflower crust pizza for dinner tonight because Bill's not going to be home till probably like 6 o'clock. So yeah, I lost no weight this week. I was exactly the same. And I'm not upset by that. I mean, would I have wanted to lose? Yeah. But I am also just not going to go crazy pants cuckoo about it. As long as I'm not gaining, right? I have to be able to do whatever I do for the rest of my life, because if you've been with me on this channel for any length of time, I have lost and gained weight, gained it back about 4 different times. And honestly, I'm tired. I'm just tired of doing it. So I found this PDF that this guy talks about what real weight loss is like and how we try to do it. I'm going to link that down below. I barely read it. I'm going to read it later on today because it's like 1:45 here. So I still have time to do stuff before Bill gets home. I really need to peruse it because what I read, the guy hit the nail on the head. And Bill didn't lose any weight this week either. And he's not happy. I tried to tell him, I said, I don't think you're eating enough. You know, that may sound counterintuitive, but if you all of a sudden start starving yourself, your body is going to hold on to what you have. At least initially it is. And why starve yourself and make yourself nutty crazy? So, but yeah, so that's happening. And I didn't do any stitching yesterday. I was just so tired. I'm almost done reading the book I've been reading, and it's actually really good. It is called The Mother of All Secrets. So I have it linked down below, or I will link it. Really good. And I thought today, my plan was to do a stitch with me because I haven't stitched in like 2 or 3 days. But to do a stitch with me, and I was going to do a long one, it would have taken me like 3 hours to do it. And I was like, the day's getting away from me because I decided while I was waiting for the washer to get done, I decided to pick out my next couple projects so I have stuff to take to the retreat in a week and a half. Actually, yes, it is a little less than a week. No, a little less than 2 weeks until the retreat. So, the first one, well, I'm going to bring my Wild Violet Cross Stitch, the Mermaid and Ocean Friends. So I printed that out. I'll pull the floss. Remember, I used my keeper from Tiger Lily Designs that I got because it can hold a bunch of floss and it can hold all the patterns. And then I have this from Etsy, Geometric Heart. It reminded me of Carolyn Manning Designs patterns. So I wanted to stitch this, and on 18 count, it's pretty small. And then I got this off of Etsy from Linen and Quartz Studio. My birthstone is a coffee bean. Love that. So yeah, linen and quartz. And then I picked another one. Now, will I get 4 patterns done? No. No, I will not. But I picked this one that I bought from Hands On Design, Coffee and Friends. Now, everything else that I picked out, stitched on white, no problem. This is, you can see it's like stitched on like a brownish tan. Now, the 18 count perforated paper only comes in white. And this is what it looks like. So white, I mean white. And my beloved tinted transparent dye spray paint from Design Master is discontinued. I still have a few cans. This is what it looked like. This is like a yellow color called Sunflower. This was perfection with coloring perforated paper. I have like, I don't have, my favorite one was called Sepia, which was like a brown. I'm so sad they discontinued this. I don't know when they discontinued it. I spent a good part of today looking for this, and you can't buy it anywhere. It's sold out everywhere because it's discontinued. So I'm like, what am I going to do to be able to color the 18 count perforated paper? I did some research online. I mean, I think you can use regular spray paint, but I didn't want to go through the whole thing of buying a bunch of stuff, right? And I'm like, so I'm looking around at what I have, right? And I'm like, why couldn't I color the paper with a Copic marker? Never seen anyone do that before. And so I took this E11, which is barley beige. I mean, because I have like 60 Copic markers. And oh my God, it worked. So I cut the paper. This is what it looks like with me coloring it with marker. It looks kind of hand-dyed, doesn't it? It's actually more terracotta color in real life, like it's showing up more brown here. But I was stunned that it worked. So what I did was I laid the paper down on something, because if you look at the back, it doesn't matter what the back looks like, because no one's going to be seeing the back. So I took the end, there's two ends on a Copic marker. I took the end that is this chisel tip and tried to go evenly along the paper. And I tried to overlap so there wasn't streaking. Now, you can go over it and over it and over it, and it will deepen the color of it. I haven't tried any other color but this, but wow, what a great resource for Copic markers. And I'm pretty sure it would probably work with any alcohol marker. I only have Copics now from cleaning out my art supplies, but let's go. Like, I was so proud of myself for figuring that out and for doing that and for trying it out, because I was like, oh my God. Because what I was afraid, you can see right through it, right? What I was afraid about using spray paint is it clogging up the holes in the paper. I didn't want that. Now, you could probably use diluted acrylic paint, like if you wanted to brush it on, because you can control it clogging up the holes. But it was so easy to color this with a marker. I can't stress this enough. It was so easy. So I'm really curious what other color markers will look like. Because like I said, I have a whole bunch. And if you could actually maybe blend them, you know, to sky's the limit now. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to stitch this one on, is this. I think it's going to look pretty good. And I'm going to change the orange in this. This orange is 922, which is actually pretty close to this. So I'm going to make it a brighter orange. I'm going to make it like 740, which is a bright orange. But I was just chuffed, as my UK people like to say, chuffed at that. Like that I figured that out, and something I already have and didn't have to spend any money. So, take a note, right? Okay, that's all I really have as far as, like I said, no stitching. I thought I would do a true crime story. I haven't done one of those in a really long time. And I saw a comment this morning that someone said, I still listen to your true crime while I diamond paint. They were just so good. And I'm like, you know what? Once in a while, it's not going to hurt me to do a true crime story, right? So this is a cold case that's been solved. We love those because there is justice. So this one is called Body of Evidence. And I am going to read the Unfuck Yourself entry for yesterday. Well, yesterday and today are the same day. And I will read a small miracle story. So we're going to have a true crime. Then we're going to have a good story, like a small miracle story, to like a brain cleanser, right? Oh, and I also wanted to mention the beloved actor James Caan died. Now, if you don't know who James Caan is, he was the star in Misery. He was the author that got in the snowstorm. He was also Sonny Corleone in the Godfather series, which love those movies. He's been in a bunch of stuff, but I think those two are probably his most well-known projects. And I mean, he was in his 80s. It wasn't like he died in his 40s or something, but it's always so sad, you know, when you hear of an actor that is so well-known passing away. But as we get older, they get older too. So I don't want to say tribute. That's what I want to say. I own the movie Misery, and I'm going to watch that today when I do some stitching later on. So, but all right, body of evidence. To the people of Minot, I think it's Minot, M-I-N-O-T, Minot, North Dakota, Dr. Robert Bierenbaum was a saint. Here was this brilliant New York City plastic surgeon working as the town doctor in their humble community. Here was this esteemed physician taking out a week of every month to fly to Mexico, where he would operate on children with cleft palates and other physical deformities, never asking a penny for his high-priced services. To Dr. Bierenbaum's wife, Janet, also a highly qualified physician, Robert was the perfect husband, the perfect father to their 22-month-old daughter. Nobody's perfect, but okay. To others in Bob Bierenbaum's universe, he was a genius who excelled at every challenge he took on. Aside from his medical expertise, the esteemed doctor was a gourmet chef, a talented classical guitarist, fluent in 5 languages, and a qualified pilot. Wow. Just about everyone who knew him was stunned when he was arrested for murder in December of 1999. Not so perfect then, right? The arrest in question related to the disappearance of his first wife, Gail Bierenbaum, in 1984. Gail and Robert had been introduced by a mutual friend in the early 1980s and married in 1982. It was an odd match. Robert had just graduated medical school and was handsome but socially awkward. Gail was a beautiful social butterfly but deeply troubled. She had a long history of emotional instability and had twice been hospitalized for depression. She had issues with drugs and had once attempted suicide. Bob Bierenbaum was taking on a challenge with his high-maintenance new bride. Perhaps he believed that love would conquer all. In this case, it did not. The union was in trouble almost from the start. Depending on who you believe, the Bierenbaum's marriage broke down because Bob was a control freak or because Gail was a neurotic, demanding woman who was impossible to live with. According to Gail, he insisted on micromanaging every aspect of her life, telling her what she could wear, who she could see, and where she could go. No. He also became violent when he did not get his way and once choked her almost unconscious after he caught her smoking, something he forbade. I can't imagine Bill telling me, I forbid you to do such and such. I think I would laugh. Huh? Right? I don't know who you're talking to. On another occasion, he tried to drown her cat in the toilet bowl because he was jealous of the affection she showed towards the animal. Dude. Gail also complained to friends that Robert was never around. As a surgical resident, he was putting in 130-hour weeks at Brooklyn's Maimonides Medical Center. She was left at home and bored. 130 hours a week? I mean, what? But Robert also had complaints about his wife, who he described as moody, neurotic, and unfaithful. The first 2 of those grievances were subjective. The third was hard fact. Gail had always been fond of male company and had continued seeing other men even after she and Bob were engaged. She would continue sleeping around after they were married, engaging in 2 ongoing affairs and a series of flings. Good night. Neighbors reported a string of male visitors to the apartment while Robert was at work, and Gail was hardly discreet about her infidelities. Okay. She often boasted to friends about the sexual prowess of her lovers, comparing them to Robert, who she said was clueless in bed. It's not funny, but that part was. Dude! Just a year into their marriage, and Gail was refusing to sleep with her husband. What? By 1984, when she started talking to a divorce attorney, she and Robert had not been intimate for more than a year. This marriage, however, would not end in the divorce courts. It would end with the disappearance of Gailbierenbaum on July 7th, 1985. Robert called Gail's parents that night and told them that Gail had walked out on him after a fight. The Katzes, who were used to the dramas in their daughter's life, thought nothing of it at the time. But concern began to grow when there was still no word from Gail by the next morning. That was when Bob walked into the 19th Precinct Station House in Manhattan and reported her missing. According to Bob, he and Gail had argued that afternoon and she had stormed out, taking a towel with her. Since she often went to sunbathe in Central Park, he assumed that she had gone there. When she still hadn't returned by dusk, he went looking for her. Her favorite spot was on the lawn behind the Metropolitan Museum, and that was where he found her towel and suntan oil. Of Gail, though, there was no trace. And there was still no sign of the missing woman the next day or the next. None of her friends had seen or heard from her. Although the police were still treating this as a missing person case, alarms were beginning to jangle. Gail had left behind her purse with her cash and credit cards. How far could she have gone without money? Not far. Gail's family believed that they knew the answer to that question. Gail wasn't missing. She was dead, and it was her husband who had killed her. Remember, the husband's always the first suspect. Numero uno. To make their point, they showed NYPD Detective Tom O'Malley a letter written to Gail by Dr. Michael Stone, a psychiatrist who both Gail and Bob had consulted. In it, Stone had cautioned that her husband was a very dangerous man and urged her to leave him. This wasn't evidence of murder, of course, but it did make the police sit up and take notice. Robert, meanwhile, had various theories to offer for his wife's disappearance. He was quick to remind everyone that Gail had attempted suicide before and might have done so again. He also suggested that Gail might have run away with one of her lovers or that she might have been killed by the drug dealers she associated with. What? The Katzes weren't buying it, and neither were the police. They were now almost certain that the doctor had murdered his wife. They just couldn't prove it. There were no eyewitnesses, no forensics, no clues at all. And then there was the biggest mystery of all. If Bob Bierenbaum had really killed his wife, what had he done with her body? Where was she? Those questions would remain unanswered as the case went unsolved. Dr. Bierenbaum eventually left New York and moved to Las Vegas, where he met Dr. Janet Shollet, a gynecologist. The couple hit it off from the start and were soon engaged. After they tied the knot, they moved to North Dakota, where their daughter was born in 1988. It was at this time that Bob started making those mercy flights to Mexico, flying his private plane to perform those life-altering surgeries at his own expense. Meanwhile, back in New York, Gail's family would not allow the NYPD to forget about her. Gail's sister Elaine, an attorney, was particularly active in keeping the case top of mind. In May 1989, 4 years after Gail's disappearance, a headless torso washed up on a Staten Island beach. After examination, the coroner decided that it was the last mortal remains of Gail Katz Bierenbaum. This at least gave the Katz family some closure. Gail was buried at Mount Zion Cemetery in Queens. Sylvia Katz passed just a few months later, and her husband Manny 5 years after that. They were buried in adjacent plots. Elaine drew some comfort in knowing that they at least had put Gail to rest before their own passing. But 1997 would bring a new twist to the case. The district attorney's office had decided to reopen the investigation and had exhumed the torso for DNA testing. Those tests would show that the coroner had been mistaken. These were not the remains of Gail Katz Bierenbaum. After all, this was a Jane Doe. Gail remained among the missing. What? How would they come to the conclusion that it was Gail and then all of a sudden, no, it's not? So what was it that had prompted the DA to reopen the case after all this time? It was an interview with Roberta Karnarski, a woman Bob had dated back in New York. She advised them to check his flight logs for July 1985, and it was then that they made a startling discovery, something that Robert Bierenbaum had failed to disclose on the many occasions they had spoken to him. On the afternoon of July 7, 1985, the same afternoon that his wife disappeared, Bierenbaum had rented a Cessna 172 from an airport in Caldwell, New Jersey, and taken it up for a 2-hour flight. Bierenbaum had not filed a flight plan that day, but prosecutors believed that they could make a pretty good case for where he had gone. They believed that he had flown out over the Atlantic and dumped his wife's remains into the sea, somewhere between Montauk Point, New York, and Cape May, New Jersey. Even more damaging to Bierenbaum was an amateurish attempt to alter the logbook. The number 7 had been overwritten, changing it to an 8. The implication was obvious. Bierenbaum was trying to make it seem that he had made the flight in August rather than in July. With a warrant issued for his arrest, Robert Bierenbaum surrendered to police on December 8, 1999, and waived extradition to New York. He went on trial there in October of 2000. With no physical evidence and not even a body, this was a difficult case to make. Prosecutors had to pass the corpus delicti test if they were to succeed. This is a confusing term that has tripped up criminals in the past, most famously the notorious acid bath killer, John George Hay. It does not refer to the physical corpse, but rather to the body of evidence. Simply put, the prosecution would need to connect the dots in a way that was convincing enough to satisfy the court. They did that by painting a compelling picture of how the murder might have occurred. Bierenbaum's biggest mistake was trying to conceal the evidence of his unscheduled flight. Had he told police that he had been upset after the argument with his wife and had taken to the air to calm himself, then he might have had a defense to fall back on. Instead, he kept quiet about this significant detail and then compounded suspicion by altering the flight log. You big freaking dummy. Why would he have done that if the flight he had taken was entirely innocent? The prosecution contended that it was not innocent at all. They suggested that Gailbierenbaum had strangled his wife during an argument, had dismembered her corpse in the apartment, had packed the body parts into a duffel bag, had dragged this down to his car, had driven to Caldwell Airport, and from there taken the plane out and dropped the bag into the Atlantic from a height. They even provided evidence of an experiment they had carried out, dropping a 120-pound sandbag from a Cessna. Taken with the evidence from Roberta Karnofsky and the letter written by Dr. Michael Stone, it was enough to convince the jury. Robert Gailbierenbaum was convicted of second-degree murder. The prosecution asked for the maximum sentence and the defense for the minimum. Judge Leslie Snyder split the difference and sentenced him to 20 years to life. He is currently incarcerated at New York's Attica Correctional Facility. Because what year was that? 2000, so 20 years, I mean, I don't know. This book was just published like this month. I mean, it was published in June of 2022. Oh, 20 years to life. Okay, so I wonder, I mean, he might have come up for parole already. But yeah. Interesting. Why can't I go back? There we go. Okay, so the Unfuck Yourself entry for today and yesterday. The most important relationship you can ever grow is the one you have with yourself. This is so true because here's a good little example. My mom, my stepdad's cousin, my mom has lent her money on numerous occasions, and it's only like $40, but she has played hell getting paid back every time. And this very, very last time, she lent her money the end of May and still hasn't been paid back. She sees her post on Facebook that she's moving. She's moving from this state to another state. And my mom's like, she thinks moving is going to solve her problems, but everywhere you go, there you are, right? You take yourself with you in every situation, every romantic relationship, every friendship. So you need to develop a good relationship with yourself. Yeah. Moving doesn't solve anything, really. It's a fucking pain in the asshole. All right. A small miracle story, and then we'll end for today. This is, ooh, it's, oh my. You know what? We're going to skip that for today. It's a 4-page story. We will do that one tomorrow. Because I'm reading them in order. But wow, a 4-page story. Wow. Okay. So I hope you guys are having a good weekend. I'm on the calendar all 5 days this week for work. Tomorrow I have my second hepatitis B vaccine. So I have to be at the doctor at 9:15 a.m. My job starts at 11, so I should be there and back, no problem. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day, have some lunch, do some stitching, watch Misery. Oh, we did watch a really good movie Friday night. We watched The Way Back with Ben Affleck. Really liked that movie. I like the underdog, people trying to improve themselves and do better. And his character is doing just that. It is definite like tearjerker. Good movie though. Really, really liked it. There's another movie that I may watch today on Amazon. I have to rent it. It's called The Ravine. It's like a murder mystery. It looked really good. I watched the trailer and was like, ooh. So I'll keep you posted on that if I watch. But have a good rest of your weekend. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.